Good morning, Gainesville. I'm Michael Bed from Carnegie Mellon University. How's everyone today? Good, good. Who would like to have courses that are effective and informed by evidence-based research? Anyone? Okay, good. That's a good start. Okay, I'm in the right room. Who would like to have courses that are where you can map your learning objectives to your sub-objectives, to the instructional materials, activities, all the way down to the problem steps. And then store that information from when your students are using the courses into a large data repository that you can then go back and see the individual student actions and see where they are. So before you go in, your faculty go into a class to lecture, they can see where the students are struggling and where they need to focus the lecture. And then at a macro level, that's a micro level, but at a macro level, you can see where the students are struggling in the course overall, where they're having difficulty, and then actually go and redesign your course. So maybe next semester, the students are having less trouble in that area. If you like that, that's basically the Open Learning Initiative and what we can do for you. Since 2002, we've been producing courses, and they've been used as textbook replacements in courses. We have over 27 courses currently. They're open, they're free for access for individual learners. They are developed with high quality, scientifically based, classroom tested materials. We have hundreds of thousands of users every year, and they are, because we have hundreds of thousands of users, we have a big end, and we're able to do continuous improvement on these courses. The list of courses is here. If you're using this as a replacement for a textbook in a course, there is a small fee just to maintain and keep us doing the good work that we're doing. We're a nonprofit, obviously. It's less than a tenth of the cost of a traditional textbook, no more than $25. And we actually don't want to be the owners of this. Several of these courses were created outside of CMU by users of the Open Learning Initiative. We have a week-long summer school that you can come to, and you can create your own courses or modules. So LearnLab is the other side of the Open Learning Initiative. LearnLab at Carnegie Mellon is our research center, and it was developed and started in 2004 to study the chasm between research and practice, and to identify conditions that cause robust learning. So we were pretty prolific. In 11 years, we had 640 studies. About 360 of those were actually in classrooms. And we came out with 2,000 publications and only spent $48 million of the money from the NSF. So that's not too bad. It's $24,000 a publication, just in case you're wondering. So oh yeah, so not so bad, was it? Okay. And we have, Carnegie Mellon's invested about $80 million in TEL resources at the university, and these are all available for your use. So we have the Open Learning Initiative that I'm talking about in Data Shop, that's the world's largest educational data repository, has nearly 600,000 hours of student data in 1,350 data sets. And that's mostly available for your use if you want to go and do secondary data analysis. We have also a cognitive tutor authoring tool that lets you build tutors, non-programmers, and programmers if you like, but you can build a cognitive tutor in about a 40th of the time that it takes you to build a traditional tutor. And we also have several other tools that I'd be happy to talk with you about at the table. So here's a great example of why this is a hard problem. Who thinks these are all equivalent problems. You have a story problem, word problem, and equation. Who thinks the story problem is the hardest one for students to solve? So let's see a show of hands. Okay. Who thinks the word problem is the hardest? Okay. How about the equation? Okay. So the data shows that is actually the story problem is the easiest one for the students to solve because it's something that they can relate to. The equation is actually the hardest one for the students to solve. And actually, even their experts miss this. The elementary school teachers think, or get this the most right, but they're still not very good. While high school teachers, the ones who are actually teaching algebra, get this wrong. Here we have the expert blind spot. We only know about 30% of what we know. The rest of it we can't verbalize. And that's why we need cognitive task analysis to pull that out. So it's just, I love that example, you know, the tip of the iceberg is what we know. So what we really want to do when we design courses and design instructional materials is use our intuition as a starting point, but then go to the data to refine it. So when we collect data in courses, we'll get learning curves like these, where we have error rate on the left-hand side and opportunities on the bottom, on the x-axis, where we see in the first one, the upper left-hand corner, it's very flat. Students getting way too much practice with this. This might be something like rectangle area that the student just knows right away. The one in the upper right-hand corner where it has a little bump, what we see there is the student is, or students are getting exposed to something different in the middle because it's not very smooth. So that's probably showing us that we have a new learning curve or something that's a little more difficult for the students to do that we thought was one learning curve. The bottom left-hand corner is even more. We have multiple knowledge components that we haven't properly identified. So these are what we use when we go and look at our courses or the material to redefine or revise the material to make it appropriate and get a good knowledge decomposition. And does this work when we're doing this? Well, so LOI's course in statistics is the one we always like to pull out because there's been a lot of study on this. Students completed, we had the control course was students going through a regular 16-week semester, meeting with faculty 3 times a week versus going through an 8-week semester, meeting with faculty for 1 hour a week. And what would happen were the students who went through the 8-week course learned more, they did better, and they retained the information longer. And what's happening is because that you can actually go and look and see what the students don't understand before you go into the course and focus on that. So we've had other results where we have better completion rates using a OI course versus traditional courses. We've had, accelerated students get further along in the course, learn more concepts using an OI course than they do traditional courses. It's had greater improvement for students going through gateway courses. One of the really cool things, who likes MOOCs here? Anybody like MOOCs? Come on, everybody loves MOOCs, yeah. Corsica told me they're going to save the world, so they are great. What actually we found, though, is that MOOCs are not really that effective because anything longer than a 5-minute video is very difficult for students to focus, but interspersing short videos with interactive exercises is very effective. So if we go ahead and do that, we actually see a 6-time learning gain for that. That was one of our more recent findings. So we basically have a challenge that we want to do this as a community, improve post-secondary education. I love this quote from Herb Simon: improvement in post-secondary education will require converting teaching from a solo sport to community-based research activity. And that's really what we try to focus on at Carnegie Mellon. I'm going to give 2 short plugs, and I'll take some questions. We have our Masters of Educational Technology and Applied Learning Science program that I also run at Carnegie Mellon. These students learn how to apply evidence-based research and to develop educational and apply to developing educational technology. We've had 100% placement for our first 3 years, but I always try to push these students in going to the university, working in universities, because I think that's really where the good work is being done. So if you're interested in hiring these students, just let me know. I will put you in contact with our current cohort. And if you want to learn more about this, about what we do at Carnegie Mellon and go off and do this on your own, we have a summer school, July 10th to the 14th. There are 4 courses in this. You can learn how to build courses with the Open Learning Initiative, learn how to do educational data mining. You can use CTAT, the Cognitive Tutor Authoring Tool, to learn how to build those tutors without programming, or can learn how to build collaborative learning, computer-supported collaborative learning systems. And that is it. Thank you.